Wife caught using new open marriage as smokescreen for double life with girlfriend. Wife and I, 29 female and 29 male, were high school sweethearts, went to college together, professional school together, and are completing the final stages of our postgraduate training together. We have been married 8 years and together for 15 years. I completed the final training stage earlier than her and am moving to a phase of my career where I signed a big contract, and in a couple of months my salary, currently $50,000, will instantly increase 5 to 6 times and afford us a type of lifestyle neither of us has ever experienced. She has 2 years until something similar will happen to her, and she and I were unbelievably close to experiencing the rewards of all our years of supporting each other and delayed gratification. I negotiated my contract to last until she finishes her training, and she and I would get to decide for the first time where we wanted to go and live our dream life on our own terms. About a month ago, she approached me and told me she was experiencing a confusing physical attraction to a female coworker and close friend of hers. She has historically never been attracted to other women. She felt strongly enough about these feelings to bring it up to me, and I believed it took a lot of courage to admit it to herself and to talk to me about it as well, especially given her extremely religious, conservative upbringing. We have talked in theory about polyamorous relationships, and although we had always been monogamous, she knew I have a firm belief that humans can have feelings for more than one person at once without those feelings being less valuable or less legitimate. She requested a conditional open marriage to explore these new developments in her sexuality. She spoke to her friend who reciprocated the attraction. We discussed ground rules that we could all agree on to allow them to explore things in a way that was clearly designed to keep our marriage as the final priority, and all parties agreed to proceed with full consent. I initially created this account to explore polyamory and open marriage subreddits. Any negative emotions I was experiencing, I interpreted as jealousy, which I needed to work through, and I started seeing a therapist with the specific goal of processing those feelings to allow my wife, whom I implicitly trusted, the freedom I felt she deserved. On multiple occasions, I even apologized to both of them for taking longer to get comfortable with the arrangement than I originally anticipated. I didn't need to do any of this for long because my rapidly developing suspicions that something was deeply wrong proved to be correct. After enough violations of our rules in a short period of time, coercing me into allowing her to push those boundaries further and faster than she knew I was comfortable with, and general sketchy, dishonest behavior, I couldn't ignore my suspicions anymore and looked through her phone one night while she was asleep. I felt genuinely awful violating her privacy like that, despite one of the ground rules of the arrangement being completely open communication, including the option to review each other's digital communication, which we both knew I never actually had any intention of doing. I found a staggering amount of unequivocal evidence that the two of them had been having an affair for an indeterminate amount of time, but definitely much longer than our open experiment. It appears they actually came up with the idea together in order to spend additional time together on top of what they were already doing behind my back. During the time I did know about, they were meeting far more often than I knew, having her girlfriend park down the street and sneak through the backyard to avoid triggering our security system so they could spend nights together while I'm out of town, or working an overnight shift, lying about having to stay late at work in order to spend time together, as well as having frequent intimate contact in their workplace during work hours. They were also intimate in our bed, didn't even change the sheets afterwards sometimes, which was a boundary that my wife herself had proposed we keep as something for only the two of us. Aside from crossing numerous physical boundaries and lying about the timeline, there were also messages in which they were making long-term plans for the next 2 years when my new job would frequently pull me away from home to essentially live together in our house for a significant portion of the year, using my increased income to fund things they wanted to do together. Even more shocking was a clear pattern that showed my wife to be the primary instigator and aggressor in their relationship. Several times her girlfriend showed some degree of hesitancy, to which my wife would tell her how she would fix this for them, and that all she had to do was keep me happy enough to remain oblivious, and very soon they would have essentially free rein to have a life together. The texts I was reading sounded like some evil sociopath I had never met, especially not the love of my life to which I have devoted 15 years. When I confronted my wife about this yesterday, she claimed to have no idea what I was talking about. Even when presented with screenshots of her own words, she continued to try denying that she was clearly having a prolonged affair that she planned to continue and was going to use me for financial security while living a double life with her girlfriend. After hours of discussion, she finally admitted to everything. Obviously, I am completely lost right now. I have never made a single decision in my adult life that did not include thinking of us as a single unit, always working towards a shared goal that we were so close to achieving. I feel like I don't even know who this person is, and we have been together over half of our lives. Now that she has been caught, she claims that she has broken off her relationship with her girlfriend and is willing to do anything it takes to rebuild trust between us. To me, this seems impossible. Due to the nature of their jobs, she and the person she was cheating on me with will see each other on nearly a daily basis over the next 2 years, which will include multiple mandatory overnight stays together and potential to be assigned night shifts alone together for up to a month at a time. They have already cheated together while at work on multiple occasions, and my wife would text her afterwards about how she thought it was extra hot. Even if I reach a place where I want to try to fix things, in my mind, there is no way that can happen while the two of them are still seeing each other on a daily basis. Leaving her current job essentially ends her career, leaving her with 6-figure debt and no way to pay them off. She is trying to come up with some system of accountability that will make it possible to trust that she isn't continuing her affair at work, but I cannot think of anything that would possibly give me the level of reassurance I would need due to the extreme and complicated measures she has already used in the past to deceive me and her clear ability to look me in the eye and lie in a way that made me believe her. So I am nearly certain we need to get a divorce. I wish I could say I was 100% certain, but I don't think my brain is capable of imagining a future without us being together. Despite knowing we need to split up, the nature of her affair presents additional complications. Her family is extremely religious, and there is a chance they would disown her due to her affair being with a woman. Her family also has seen the levels of love and support I've given over the years and thinks of me as a son. I'm probably closer to her parents than I am my own. Additionally, her workplace actions could either result in significant setback or termination, which would leave her with hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt with much more limited ability to ever get it paid off. Somehow, despite everything she had done, I do not want to burn her personal life, family life, and career completely to the ground, so I am currently keeping it a secret from almost everyone else in our lives until we come up with an acceptable cover story for why this blissfully happy and successful couple suddenly get a divorce when we are on the verge of enjoying everything we have worked our whole lives to achieve. I feel like an idiot. I feel alone, and an anonymous wall of text on a subreddit is one of my only outlets to process the most painful experience of my life. Update. Prior post got more attention than I had ever anticipated. I have had several people message me asking for updates. I hesitated to do too much updating in case she happened to find the post, but things have stabilized a bit more now. This includes me taking a few weeks to make sure I didn't make any big decisions without processing first. Mostly for the sake of saying I did everything I could, I did have a discussion about some form of ongoing relationship with my wife. While it would never be what it was, I briefly considered that maybe there was a tiny chance we could reach some agreement for reconciliation. Regardless of every potential scenario, her 100% non-negotiable term is that she continues seeing her current AP, which is all I need to know, and gives me an opportunity to leave with no further doubts as to it being the right thing to do. Laws where we live require a lengthy period of formal separation, so the first draft of this paperwork was completed as of last night. To her credit, she has been agreeable to nearly anything I've said I wanted to happen with our divorce proceedings. I have tried to be fair but firm in what I want to happen and how to split assets, and I'm coming out in the better financial situation between the two of us for sure. I'm also getting possession of both pets, which was maybe the most important thing for me. At present, she has not gotten her own lawyer, and unless we encounter things that we cannot work out ourselves, she has cited no intention to do so. So far, there aren't really any major disputes, but being the only one with legal representation at this time seems like a large advantage. Until the final draft is signed, I am staying in the house, separate bedrooms, largely for easier access to her in order to discuss any further changes, and intend to move out shortly after they are finalized. Hopefully soon. As far as the job goes, I canceled that contract, as no money had changed hands and it was before my official start date. This was fairly uncomplicated. While it was a good opportunity, others are out there and I'm talking to recruiters, thinking I may look for something that involves some travel since I don't have anyone anchoring me to one place. I think on some level completing separation paperwork made it feel more real for both of us. I think her previously described, see last post, it's a lot, propensity for narcissism and manipulation had led her to feeling like I wouldn't actually leave. The idea that other people have our own agency and I can decide to leave while she thinks she is deciding if she wants me or her AP more seemed to catch her off guard. But it's real. As soon as the separation period is up, I'm filing for divorce. Friends of mine have been great and supportive. Family support by both our families has been overwhelmingly in my favor, and in these interactions I've made efforts to keep discussion on what happened, rather than the gender who it was with. Several people have offered for me to live with them while looking for work and figuring out my next move. I feel very privileged to have a supportive place to go and the resources to take some time to figure things out, and I cannot imagine how much harder this process would be without that. A friend took me out to Wingman for my first time trying to make a romantic connection with a stranger in a bar. I was a kid when we got together, so doing any of this as an adult is a 100% new experience. I met some genuinely interesting people, generally just participated in a social experience that didn't have my former spouse as the center of it, and had a great time. I've been focusing on the logistics of things I need to do to move forward, trying to practice some degree of self-care, doing therapy, and getting back into hobbies that I had been neglecting for years. I'm hopeful that my best days may still be ahead of me and appreciate the support of those in my life as well as the random internet strangers who have reached out. I was about to put a paragraph here updating about her potential work and personal fallout. Then I remembered it's not my problem anymore. Cheers. Before the second story, I'd like to ask you to subscribe to the channel. It's just one click for you, but it will be very pleasant for me. Thank you. Let's listen to the second story. My 41 male wife, 34 female, wants an open relationship. I know this is not an uncommon post. My wife has recently gone back to school, and while there, she made a new guy friend. That's not usually a big deal for us, but she has been calling and texting him nonstop and has had several hangouts with him. I asked if there was anything there that I should be worried about, and she told me she wanted an open marriage. We've been married for 6 years and have 2 kids. I have a lot of mental health issues, disabled veteran, and my medication has sexual dysfunction side effects. Also, she has wanted to get into BDSM, which just doesn't appeal to me at all. I love her and don't want her sad or disappointed. I don't want her to go without something that would bring happiness into her life. So in the course of our conversation, I told her it was okay if she wanted to open the marriage so long as it wasn't emotional. I'm definitely the asshole because she immediately said she wanted to go take a nap, and I checked her text messages on her iPad when she went. I knows that's f***ed, but I needed to know. She immediately started sexting that same guy from school. This was obviously something they had discussed and planned. It seems like they were planning to have sex this Tuesday either way. I agreed though, and I violated her privacy by reading her texts. I know there's no excuse for that. I'm sad beyond measure now. I don't know what to do or how to proceed. I can't stop thinking about how excited and graphic their conversation was. I've tried to be a good husband. I cook and clean, take care of the kids, pay all of the bills, pay attention to her and ask her about her day and her friends. I've tried to be someone she could count on for everything and anything. I know I couldn't keep up sexually. Depression meds, near daily migraines, and physical issues have me on meds that just make it impossible to be interested in the way and the frequency she wants. I try. I do hand and mouth stuff, and we use toys sometimes. It's just not enough for her. I'm so despondent and emotionally wrecked. I feel like I did this to myself, but I have no idea what to do. She saved my life. I was in such a dark place before she came into my life. She gives me purpose and gave me 2 kids who mean everything to me. I don't know what I hoped for from this post, but I just needed to vent, and this seemed like the right sub. I don't really have friends to talk to, so here I am. Third story. Open marriages and open relationships gone wrong. I am 38, female, and I am a tomboy, one of the guys. I only have male friends, and I grew up with brothers, so I get along with the male sex fairly well. I have been married for 13 years to my husband, and things were awesome, but he has changed so much over the years to where he isn't happy with much anymore these days. One day, when we were out to dinner with a friend of mine, I somehow became a sexual joke between the two. My friend joking, saying he could send me home with some new tricks. I felt embarrassed but laughed it off. What I did not expect was for my husband to actually tell my friend he could in fact do that. He gave him permission to have sex with me. He probably did it because my friend was a single father and men are horny. So for some backstory, my friend was always a guy I had an interest in and never told him. So I went along with it. My marriage became a non-monogamous relationship, and I had a friend with benefits. This started back in 2016, and today, we still get together for some fun every once in a while, scratching that itch. I think that my husband lets me have fun with other men because he can't satisfy that way anymore, and that's not for a lack of trying. I met another man playing an augmented game called Ingress, and I stared to get to know him based on similar interests, and we had chemistry right away. He told me he was also married and in an open marriage as well because his wife liked the BSM type stuff and he didn't. I did hook up with this guy and we had a great time together. Our group of players for our game phased out and we still kept in contact with each other. I started to develop feelings for this man, so I backed off and stopped talking to him. He still kept reach out, and this is where the up happens on my part. I started to talk to him again and all those feelings came back, and I went to go see him at his work, and I ended up spending all of 2 hours of his work shift making out with him, feeling his hands touch me in all kinds of ways, and they were non-sexual, but I felt electricity go all through my body. I don't know what gotten into us, but he's telling me that he wants me, that he likes the way I make him feel. And he goes quiet over a weekend and comes back to tell me that his wife wants to have a monogamy again and just didn't know how to bring it up. So I've gotten pretty attached to this man and he has me falling hard for him. Oh, fun fact. I have been telling my husband about everything, and I think I am polyamorous. I have so much love for both of these men. My husband is kinda like an unconditional love, and this other guy I've been seeing is like an emotional romantic love. I don't know what to do. I'm in over my head. I told him before I knew his wife wanted monogamy again that I wouldn't run away from him again, and we both agreed to not ghost each other. I know we both have families. I've got 2 kids and he has 3, and love just fucks you all up in the head, you know? Fourth story. My wife of 17 years had an open relationship without me knowing about it. So I, male 45, have been with my wife, also 45, for 17 years. We have a beautiful 15-year-old daughter together and own our own business together. Needless to say, we have built a life together. For our 17th anniversary, I took her to a beach resort in Malibu for the night. When we checked into our room, she was super excited about the quality of the room and exclaimed, "Wow, I can't wait to take Tommy here." Confused, I asked who Tommy was, and she casually said, "Oh, just this guy I've been seeing." At first I thought she was joking and realized she was serious. She said she thought we had an open relationship. She said, and I quote, "I know we never explicitly talked about it, but I assumed you would be okay with it, given how comfortable you are with me, talking about hot guys in movies." These words baffled me, how my usually intelligent wife could come up with such ridiculous logic. She then said that she had needs that weren't being satisfied, and she thought opening up the relationship would help us grow as a couple. I explained to her that it only works if we both know about it and agree to it, something I would have never agreed to. She left the hotel and going back home. Our 15-year-old daughter got in a fight with her about cheating and is giving her the cold shoulder. I came home the next day to grab my things and tell her I wanted a divorce, and we had another fight where she claimed she never meant to hurt me and she just wanted us to grow as a couple. I left to go to a motel for the night as I needed to think. Edit. People have told me to leave the hotel and go back home from a legal standpoint. I have decided to take their advice. Update. I took your guys' advice last night and left the hotel. I went home and demanded my wife leave instead as it's my house, and she's the one who messed up. She was upset and we had a big fight. She said she had nowhere to go and couldn't get a hotel room this late. I smiled and said I had already had one conveniently booked for her. It was the same hotel room from before. I told her where it was and she packed her bags and left, begging me not to throw our years away for one silly mistake. I told her that she was the one, in fact, throwing our years away for a silly mistake. My daughter saw me this morning and gave me a big hug and said, "It's okay, Dad." And with this, I started crying in front of her, something I had never done before. I'm writing this on my lunch break, and after work I will be scouring the internet for a good divorce lawyer and then making contact. Thank you for listening. If you like this video, please give it a like and write your opinion in the comments. See you soon.